welcome back to another questionable riding video, my fellow nerds. Because the season is starting to change, I figured I'd do like an end of the season review of the bike. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I pulled up the time and it says that I've been riding this bike for 69 hours and 16 minutes. Now I don't know if that makes me a professional by far. I don't know if that means that I'm valid to review, but I'm just gonna say this whole video is gonna be, I don't know, my opinion. Obviously there are probably people who have ridden this bike a lot more than I have, but this is gonna be my 69-hour review of the Z900, 2023 Z900. I'm gonna be talking about the stock form, so not Angelina as a whole, like, because Angelina, that's me making the bike mine. Z900 is, I'm going to be talking stock. Basically the things I like about the stock bike. So first things first, I will say that I think that this bike is an excellent entry level to the leader class. I mean, if you don't want to call it a leader bike, that's on you, whatever. Ooh, that's a nice truck. You don't want to call it a leader bike, that's on you. I'm gonna call it a leader bike, and I think that this is a good entry level bike into that. I'm gonna explain why. I just haven't figured out how I'm gonna organize it. Well, first off, what's up, homie? Oh, he on the little Z125. All right, cousin, little cuz. First off, I want to say that this bike is light enough for me to catch when it's falling. I've almost dropped this bike, I want to say 3 times. About 3, we'll round up, say 4, make it a nice even number. I've almost dropped this bike 4 times doing low speed maneuvers, and every time I was able to stop it. I don't know if that's saying anything as far as like I'm strong or the bike is light, but in my opinion, that's what kind of makes it, that's one of the reasons that makes it a good entry-level bike, in my opinion, because I can stop it from falling if I want to do some low-speed maneuvers. The second thing I want to talk about is I think it's called a TFT dash. See, right now I have it set, it has a lot of options. So right now I have it set to where I want it to shift at 6,000 RPMs, which is, I think I'm going to be talking about a couple features, but that's a really good feature in my opinion, because what it allows you to do is set that shift indicator for the break-in period, or if for whatever reason you'd like a reminder of when to shift. For example, you're getting used to this bike and you're like, I want to keep the RPMs a little bit low, so I'm not getting the full strength. You could have actually done that in the modes, which I'll be talking about a little bit as well. But yeah, I just wanted to pop that up there because I actually used it during my break-in period to remind myself to stay under those RPMs, and then it just, get it up there, see, it just flashes, tells you when to shift. It doesn't do anything like force you to lower your RPMs or anything like that. It's just a good visual indicator. And to be honest, the only people who are going to be looking down at the speedometer is people who are fairly new, because for the most part, riders are going to keep their head up. So that's a good feature for the beginners. The second feature I want to talk about is damn, it's the motherfucking service. Yeah, I want to talk about the service warning that you can get. So you can also customize the wrench, the service light on there. So what happens is you can, I want to say it's about miles. So if you want to do like maintenance, the oil changes on your own. If you watched my very first video, you should be able to do an oil change on your own. But let's say you want to do oil change and you're forgetful, you can set like how many miles you want to do oil changes. Me personally, I plan on doing like an oil change at the end of the season. So I think maybe an oil change, maybe beginning of the season / end of the season, or maybe every 2,000 or so miles, 4,000 or so miles, you should be able to get that oil change going. And that indicator light is pretty decent reminder. I also think you could use it to remind yourself to lube up your chain. I like to do a lube chain on Angelina about every 400-ish miles. Gonna have to remind myself to do a video on that, how to lube up a chain, for those of you who don't know. But there are two other features I want to talk about. I think ABS comes standard on this bike. I don't think you can get a Z9 that doesn't have ABS or traction control on there. But I like ABS. I've tested both ABS and traction control. Let me try the traction control right now, or ABS right now. See, I can feel the brakes pumping. So what the ABS does is, in order to make sure that you have a good amount of traction, no, that's traction control, my bad. So what ABS does is it controls the braking. It makes sure that you have even brake pressure throughout the entirety of your applying brakes in emergency situations. See, when you brake in an emergency, chances are the wheels are going to lock up on you. So they're going to be rotating, and then all of a sudden they're gonna lock up. What ABS does is it lessens that brake pressure, so the wheel can spin again, and you can maintain the optimum amount of traction needed to brake well. And what traction control does, got some walkers, I'm gonna try to be a little respectful. So what traction control does is it makes sure that the rear wheel is spinning at a proper rate, I want to say. So traction control popped on for me when I had just gotten this bike, and I was bullshitting, I'm not gonna lie. I tried to race I think I was trying to race a Ford F-150. He was talking smack at the red light. So I was like, all right, bro, I got you. I had to spin it on you. So when I pulled off, light turned green, I pulled off, and what happened was I felt the front lifting up a little bit, and then as soon as I saw the traction control light, the KTRC, I don't know if you guys can see that, as soon as that light popped on, I felt it start to go down, and then I had more grip. Like I was able to propel myself forward. I know I'm probably not explaining it properly, but what traction control basically does is make sure that there's constant power to the wheels. So traction control is constant power to the wheels. ABS is constant braking. Like you have constant braking power. Oh, in case y'all think I was capping, hold on. So I can lean this bike over very far. See, that's all the way on my leg, and I'm able to kind of catch it. So when I do low speed maneuvers, I'm kind of confident that I can catch it unless I'm like moving. Let's see. It's pretty comfortable to ride. On the way here, I was actually thinking that same thing. So my last bike was a little bit more aggressive. It was a 400, but it was made to, I guess, for body positioning, it's a little bit aggressive. So what that means is essentially so my leg is, let's say I'm facing this way, so my legs make like a good, what is that, that's a terrible representation. Hold on. So basically it means that my leg is able to be placed a little further, a little closer to my center line. And on my other bike, this I think was a little further back, so I was leaning a little bit more. So when I'm in an upright position, it kind of feels like a chair, which means that I'm able to ride a little bit longer without feeling it on my body. And the other thing I was going to say is, because it's more upright versus like a more aggressive position, I am more vulnerable to the wind, but that's naked bikes. That's just something you have to get used to. Now I will also say, keeping it running for whatever reason, actually turn it off. I will say everything so far is very easy to work on. Like anything that I wanted to work on so far, anything that I wanted to put on here personally, I was able to do that myself with like some non-specialized tools. You know what I mean? The grip came off. I need to get another grip. But the spoolies, the mirrors, I didn't do the levers and the electronics myself because I wasn't very confident in doing those. The bread box, I could do that, the slip on if I wanted to. But overall, yeah, it's like, because everything is so exposed, it's a little bit easier for me to work on and to like tweak certain things myself, which is something that I really like so far with this bike. And the last thing that I'd like to talk about is the suspension. So I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but there's like a thing right here. It allows you to make the this suspension here either harder or softer. And there's a similar thing here. Again, I don't know if I did it right, but I feel like I felt some kind of improvement. So what it allows you to do is to make the suspension either harder or softer, which means that if it's a harder suspension, it means that it's going to take a lot more weight for the front forks and the rear suspension to be decompressed. There's a book and a service guide. In the service manual, there's a chart. And the way I did mine is because I'm a heavier rider. I'm 220. So I went with a harder suspension, and the roads here aren't bad, but it also tells you how to adjust it on, like, if you're a heavier rider, if the roads are bad, and if you plan on doing like faster riding. Being a heavy rider just happens to correlate with, you know, riding faster. So it all worked out, you know what I'm saying? And then the last thing that I didn't even really touch on is how easy it is to read the TST. Like, it's sunny out here. It's some kind of like sensor here to make sure that it's always the proper brightness, which is like super dope. So yeah, I think that's about it. Go ahead, start the bad boy. So yeah, I want to say that's everything I really wanted to cover. This is a great bike overall. I'd recommend this bike to other people. It's great for commuting. It handles low speeds very well, you know what I mean. It does run a little hot, but I'm gonna do, I think next week I'm doing a video about things that I would change about this, you know, stock. The heat isn't too bad. I just noticed that there's like warmth. It's a little warm on the chestnuts, you know what I mean. But you only notice that at low speeds, and it isn't even that bad. I think that's it as far as all the things that are like pretty well made about this bike. Again, I would recommend this bike to somebody. I forgot to talk about the rider modes. So there's 3 rider modes on here. It is road, which has maximum power, but the traction control is dialed up to like a 2. Then there's sport, which I'm in right now. Maximum power, traction control is at a minimum, which is 1. Then the last one is rain. It does have a rain mode, which I think it says it limits the power to like 60% or something like that. And the traction control is dialed up to 3 to make sure that you have, I guess, grip on the slippery surfaces. Rain mode is what I kept the bike in because this was my first leader class bike. So I was just a little bit nervous until I worked my way up to road and then eventually sport, which is what I always keep it on. Unless it rains, I'll slap it back in rain mode just to make sure that, you know, I'm doing everything I can to be breezy. But I haven't gotten caught in rain too much. It's mostly been drizzles. But you can make a rider mode. I do have rider mode. I put it on there just in, I think you can make up to 2 rider modes. I put the rider mode on there just in case I decided to learn how to wheelie at some point in time. I just wanted it there. In rider mode, you can change how much power you put you want in your mode, and then you can also change the traction control. So from what I understand, you can't wheelie with traction control on. So that's why I turned it off, just in case I decided to, you know, learn. But I know for sure that's the last of the video. That was the last thing that I was missing. So question of the video: what is your favorite stock feature? Let me know in the comments below. So the podcast is what won the poll. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I am willing to guess that I have maybe 3 or 4 videos left before the season permanently changes. See, the thing about Wisconsin is that everything flips on a dime. Like right now, it's like supposed to be 80. But the thing was, it was like 90 degrees, and then all of a sudden it dropped down to like 50. So if you don't get 3 to 4 videos before the podcast, don't be salty about it. Just chances are the weather turned a lot faster than I thought it would. But I think by November 1st is not the first, but the first week of November, that Thursday is probably going to be when I drop the first podcast episode. So, you know, keep them eyeballs out, because your boy is, oh god, because your boy out here gonna try another medium for YouTube and try something else. Yeah, that's it. Let me know what your favorite feature was, and Q out.